Oh, come on, seriously? Well, upon the release of version 9 for Tesla, many people were excited about the new Dashcam feature, utilizing one of the great front-facing cameras. And from what I understand, in future updates, they're going to be utilizing other cameras, maybe the side cameras, maybe the rear cameras. But the thing is, before you do that, we got to make sure that we get the front dash cam working properly. If you watched my version 9 video, I did touch briefly on how to format your thumb drive in your computer to make sure it was formatted properly, and then putting that Tesla cam folder in there and the whole works. And for everybody, it seemed to work fine because they plugged it in and they saw that beautiful red dot that was on the dash cam on that icon in there. But unfortunately, what began to happen is more and more people were discovering that within 12 to 24 hours, that red dot turned into a gray X. So it turns out what was happening is that there were corrupt files being put on that thumb drive. And there are all kinds of theories as to why they're there, and I don't really want to get into that. But really what it came down to is you couldn't even press on that grayed out X to figure out what was going on. So you had to take it out, go back to your computer, reformat it, plug it in, and everything seemed great, right? Same problem, 12 to 24 hours later, the gray X. So when it happened to me, first thing I thought was, this was just an old one I had lying around the house. It was an old 4 gigabyte thumb drive, and I thought, well, maybe it's just too small. So I got rid of it, and I got a new one, 16 gigabytes. Now they recommend at least an 8 gigabyte. I couldn't find one, so this is the best thing I could do. Did the same thing. I formatted it. I put that Tesla Cam folder in there. I plugged it in. Great. Red dot was going. It was recording. Problem is, guess what? 12 to 24 hours later, big gray X. So upon looking for solutions, one of the biggest ones that I saw out there was before you stop the car, you press on it, you basically stop the recording, and that's that long press on the camera, and then it just takes that red dot off, but at least the X wasn't there. Then you go out and do your thing, you come back in the car, and before you leave, you give it a nice long press again, and it gets it recording again. But I thought to myself, no, I don't want to do that, because that's not the way it's supposed to be. It's just supposed to work in the background without anything to worry about. So then I thought, all right, you know what? I'm just going to wait, because I'm sure Tesla knows about this problem, because it seems like everybody is having the same problem. So I can only imagine Tesla is working on a fix as we speak. But I thought to myself, why wait? And I had an idea. What if I take a micro SD card, plug it into a micro SD card reader, USB plug-in, and see if it works? All right, so here it is. I've got the micro USB card in there. I'm going to go ahead and plug it in, USB drive. Let's see if it pops up. There it is. All right, so we have passed test 1. We have the red dot on the camera indicating that it is recording. I'm going to give this at least 24 hours and we'll be back. Here we are 48 hours later. I decided to wait a little bit of time just to be on the safe side. And within that 48 hours, still no problems. I've still got the red dot every time I get in the car. And the thing is, I made sure that I did plenty of driving. I drove over 100 miles over the last 48 hours. I also ran a lot of errands, so I was in and out of the car a lot. So each time I got back in the car, wanted to make sure that the red dot was still there, and indeed it has been. And again, up until this point, no problems. So it seems for now, I may have found a solution to the dreaded gray X. 48 hours is the longest I've gone without running into any problems. So I know I said earlier that I didn't really want to go into why these problems may be occurring, and I don't want to go into too much detail at this point still, but upon doing some research, there are some theories. One of those theories is that the car, especially when it goes into sleep mode, may not be unmounting the drive itself properly, which in turn will create corrupt files. The other theory has to do with write speeds. So to kind of give you an idea, the slower the write speed, the better the chance your thumb drive has of creating a corrupt file. So I think this is the one that pertains to me because the first thumb drive that I used was fairly old, well over 5 years, and most likely had a very low write speed. Now the second thumb drive that I purchased just recently, about a week and a half ago, I don't know the exact write speed of it, but based on some of the reviews that I've read about it, it had got very low stars. I didn't do any research on it. I just went to a local store and got it, and that was probably a bad choice. But some of the reviews had reported that it had write speeds less than 8 megabytes per second. So to kind of put this into perspective for you, if you were to just go out and buy a dash cam in general, they typically have that SD slot or the micro SD slot, and it's recommended that you get a card that has a write speed of at least 10 megabytes per second. So the card that I purchased, I was talking about that micro SD card, then of course I've got the reader here so I can plug it into the dash cam, into that USB slot. It has a rating of what's called a V10. Okay, so a V10 rating, it's a video rating. And what that basically means is it has a rating of 10 megabytes per second for that write speed. Now you can go up to as high as a V90, which means 90 megabytes write speed. That's pretty impressive. And in hindsight, if I had known that, I just found out about that, I probably would have gone with a higher V number, but it's obviously going to be enough. So at least for my particular situation, I think that any device that I've used before using this micro SD card had just too slow of a write speed, and that's why I was getting those corrupt files. But now that I've got this micro SD card and the card reader, I've got a fast enough write speed, and everything seems to be working properly. That all being said, if you do decide to go the route of the SD card or the micro SD card, make sure you get a durable one. Because if you think about it, with the dash cam, whenever you're driving, it is constantly recording and re-recording over those older videos. So over time, it just goes over a lot of wear and tear. So you want to make sure that you pay a little bit more for the more durable SD card, because in the long run, it's going to last longer. So I'd be curious to know what you think. Is it the mounting and unmounting process of the card to the device that is recording the video? Or is it the write speed that I was talking about? Are there theories you may have? I would love to hear about some of them if you write those in the comment section below. Also, if you have been thinking about buying a Tesla Model 3 or an S or an X or just a Tesla in general, and you would like to get 6 months of free supercharging in the process, go ahead and use my referral code, as we'll both get perks out of that. And if you found the information in this video helpful, well, be sure to give it a like or a thumbs up. And if you would like to, even better yet, subscribe to my channel. So until my next video, stay safe.